I grew up roofing with dad. So I roofed for like 3 or 4 days. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do real estate. It took me 8 months to get to my first deal. And then everything explodes, 2003, 2004. And that's what got me in real big trouble when the market crashed. So when I lost everything, that was my goal when I came back, to build a business that the market could not erase.
What piece of advice would you give a lot of real estate professionals, people in sales, to get through those tough times?
Well, I mean, you got to come to the realization that, woo!
Let's get this money. Euros, dollar bills, get it next on Allen. Let's get this money. 1 yen, better know I'm on it.
So my guest today owns multiple $1 million businesses in the real estate space, based in Gulf Shores, Alabama. He's closed over 1,000 deals plus as a solo real estate agent and coaching other real estate agents to do the same. Welcome to the 7 Figure Squad podcast. Ricky Carruth, how you doing, buddy?
What's up, bro? How are you?
Man, nice to make the connection.
Oh, man, my pleasure. Pleasure's all mine.
So you and I have something in common. We've been in our space for 20 plus years.
Nice.
So we've seen a lot of ups and downs.
Nice. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, like you eventually learn how to ride those waves.
Yeah, for sure. So you were kind of ushered into the real estate space, not as a realtor, but as a son of a roofer. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah. It was funny. I was just on a show and he's like, how'd you get into real estate? And I was like, well, I didn't really get into it. It kind of got into me.
So here's the deal. No politician, no president, no government program is going to swoop in and transform your business. So despite of what goes on in the White House, the most important move you can make right now is what goes on in your house and in your community. The only person who can change your circumstance is you. But here's the thing. Success just doesn't happen in isolation. It's just not about you. It's about the people you surround yourself with. So that's where the power of community comes in. You see, 9 years ago, my life changed forever when I was introduced to Patrick and David through Pastor Dudley Rutherford, who my sister Jocelyn introduced to me after church on Sunday. That single connection opened doors that I didn't even know existed. It showed me firsthand how being in a room filled with driven, like-minded individuals can completely shift the trajectory of your business and your life. Since then, I've gone from broke and bankrupt United States Marine Corps veteran to building a business where I paid over $100 million to other people and rewriting my family legacy in the meantime. Believe me, the old saying is true. Your network is your net worth. That's why I'm hosting the ultimate upscale mastermind and networking event for entrepreneurs who are hungry for more. Cigars, wealth, and whiskey. If you're done waiting for handouts, if you're ready to stop playing small, if you understand that your circle is the key to unlocking the next level of your success and discover the next best version of you, well, then this event then is for you. While everyone is coasting through the holidays, we are strategizing to make 2025 the best year yet. On December 19th, on the marquee here in Frisco, join us in the heart of the North DFW area for an unforgettable evening of connection, inspiration, and collaboration. You'll network with some of the most influential movers and shakers in the area, people who are making it happen just like you. This is more than just a networking event. It's a catalyst you've been waiting for. So don't wait. Spots are limited and this will sell out just like it did last time. Click the link below to secure your ticket now. This is your moment. Take it.
I failed a history class in college. I went to 4 different colleges in 2 years. And I said, this just is not working for me. I just can't get the momentum. I don't feel like this is where I need to be. So I dropped out and I realized it's 1 class to get your real estate license versus 10 years to be a doctor or lawyer. So, I took the easy way out there, but I didn't do it because I liked the easy way. Like you said, I grew up roofing houses.
Yeah.
But I did it to be efficient and to get into a career that I could then work really hard at. It was out of necessity. It wasn't necessarily like I want to be a real estate agent. It was more so it was there at the right time and I was in the right place. And my mom owned a hair salon and she cut a lot of the real estate agents' hair, the like really high producing agents' hair. And I knew them all. They were kind of like family because they came in the shop and I was always in the shop and stuff. My mom and dad never sent us to daycare or babysitters or whatever. We went to work with them. So like I was at the hair salon a lot. And I was at the job site where my dad was roofing. I remember me and my brother were cleaning up job sites, like cleaning up the grounds when we were like 8 and 9 years old. But I saw a lot of the real estate agents, the local agents' lifestyle. Always had nice cars and nice houses and seemed to be real happy on top of the world and stuff. And so that was appealing. And I didn't realize, oh, this is something I might do, you know, when I was a kid.
Right.
But then as I grew up and like got the opportunity presented, I thought, okay, let me give this a whirl. And, you know, a whirl I did. So it's been a roller coaster.
Well, you went into real estate, what, 03, 04. And you did really well that year. It was kind of like a real estate boom, because I remember I'm in the insurance side of the world, and you know, the insurance world is kind of like steady Eddie. You know, it's like just steady business. There's never really an explosion. Matter of fact, let me take that back.
Yeah,
there is an explosion when there's a real estate bubble. it's the weirdest thing. So when there's a real estate or the interest rates start rising, that's when the insurance guys do really good. So anytime the interest rates go higher, awesome. Lower, steady Eddie. But you faced a challenge in the real estate crisis during the real estate recession. So you kind of went back and forth from roofing and then back to real estate and you went back and forth for a little bit.
I did. It was the funniest thing. I grew up roofing with Dad, and then I went to college, came back, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do real estate. So I roofed for like 3 or 4 days. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do real estate. And then, so I went and took the test, and when I passed the test, I was like, Dad, I am out of here, bro. Like, sayonara, I'm gone. And so I did real estate full time for a month and sold absolutely zero. And so I had to say, Dad, I'm coming back. So yeah. I'm a month into real estate, and I go back, and I roofed houses with him it took me 8 months to get to my first deal. So I get my first deal and I start closing a couple of months, and then everything explodes, you know, 2003, 2004. And then I started buying and flipping properties, interest only loans. And that's what got me in real big trouble when the market crashed. Yeah. And so the market crashed, and I'm like, Dad, I'm back again. Like, I'm back. Let's do some more roofs. And eventually we landed a job on an oil rig. Me and my dad, we both were out on an oil rig in Mississippi, a land rig every other week, drilling for natural gas. I did that for a year. But yeah, I foreclosed on a bunch of stuff. I was living in my car. Not even my car. A friend gave me their car, which was a beat up Ford Contour. And I literally lived in that car and on my friends' couches and, you know, stuff. And when I got the job on the oil rig, I was like, I got a place to live for every other week. But it was hard work. And honestly, I don't know why I did it. I mean, I've seen guys get hurt really bad out there. Yeah. And you know, I was making about $50,000 a year doing that.
Wow. All that danger for that little type of income.
$5,000
for all the money they make. Yeah.
But it was like $1 million to me at the time.
Sure.
And you know, then I got laid off in 2008, May of 2008, and I was already dabbling back into real estate. And you know, that was kind of, I learned my lessons, you know, from that first round. And that was kind of like, I didn't know if I'd ever sell real estate again, but here I was with a second chance. And I mean, it was all over with them, because you only got to show me something once. Like, you teach me how to lay a shingle, how to cook, how to bake a cake, how to whatever, you know, I look at it one time and I got it. Get out my way. Yeah. So when I lost everything, I was like, you know, okay, market, you know, you ain't gonna do that to me twice.
That's right.
So that was my goal when I came back, to build a business that the market could not erase like it did. You know, you want that financial stability. You know, you want that. You know, you want to be in a place where you don't have to worry. Right? Worry was the worst thing in the world.
Yep.
And so
Ricky, you got this. You got the signature. I don't know if you call it phrase or signature sound on Instagram. Every time you're showing something updating on the news, you go, woo-wee, right? A little bit of your brand to kind of show what's going on in the real estate market. I think I was going through your IG page. Everybody check out his IG page. Not only informative, but also, and I would say entertaining. But you've been doing this out 20 plus years. You've been through up market, down market. We've always said any real estate professional, any mortgage professional that's done a good job saving their cash or find another stream of income to go through the tough times will make it through the tough times in the real estate market. What would you tell other real estate agents out there who's possibly getting back involved again, and they want to avoid some of the pitfalls of maybe long stretches of no sales or long stretches of high interest rates, where the transaction may not be as often? What piece of advice would you give a lot of real estate professionals, people in sales, to get through those tough times?
Well, I mean, you got to come to the realization that whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen, and whatever's not supposed to happen isn't going to happen. It's like when you lose a deal, people get upset about it. Well, that wasn't your deal, and it wasn't supposed to happen. And the more deals you do, the more deals you're going to lose. Like I did 1,000 deals. I lost way more than 1,000. I probably lost 2, 3, 4, 5. 10,000. Who knows how many deals I lost along the way? Because there's a lot that you'll never even know you lost it, right?
Yeah.
Like I do a weekly email to 10, 20,000 people. About real estate in my market. There's no telling how many of those people found something on my email and then went and bought it through another agent. I mean, like thousands of transactions, right? And then when you think of all the residual deals after that from that deal that happened, like they resell it 3 years later, upgrade to another deal, refer 4 people. Those people do multiple deals. Like the snowball, the spider web is it's crazy.
Yeah.
So my advice is this: it takes a long time to learn the ebbs and flows of these cycles and of the markets. But one thing is always holds true, and that's that closings happen every single day. They've happened every single day of your life, and they're going to happen every single day for the rest of your life, regardless of anything that happens: pandemics, wars, economies, presidents. It doesn't matter what's going on. We're down to 1995 levels of transactions this year, but we've still got 3.9 million existing home sales happening. Literally the worst year since 95 when it comes to number of transactions, but closings are still happening every single day. And what you got to really understand is that when we do have these down years, that's just a setup for the come up. Like the rebound is violent.
Yeah.
In these kind of scenarios where we do have these massively down years. So I know agents that had one of their best years ever this year, which is great. Those are probably newer agents that didn't have a lot of business to begin with. I mean, when you go from 3 to 9 or 3 to 15 deals, then you multiplied your business by 5. But, I don't see anybody going from 50 to 100 this year. But the market can be responsible to kind of reduce your volume could be reduced. Like a market in the worst markets, you could probably lose 10, 20, 30, 40%.
Yeah.
Right. Like if your income got cut in half, you'd still be all right. Right. If you're doing $1 million a year and you go down to $500,000 because it's a bad year, you didn't get wiped out of the game.
Yep.
Right. So the market can't take you out. Okay. But the market can be responsible for the rebound of 4, 5, 6, 7, even 10xing your business, depending on how you handle and prepare for that upswing. Because we all know the upswing is going to come.
Yeah, Ricky, if you're looking at this chart here, I don't know if you see my screen.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, if you see my screen. So I like what you just said right there. If you just hold on to make sure you have enough financial resources, contacts, savings, whatever you want to call it, a lot of real estate agents won't have the financial wherewithal to withstand that. But if you do, would you say the market's yours then?
It doesn't matter if you do or don't, because you can create deals out of thin air at any given moment. So, for example, like if we're in a down market, you're a brand new agent, right? You're like even part-time or whatever the case may be. It doesn't really matter. Like like you don't have to have all this stuff built up or this big contact list or all these savings or all these rental properties or whatever in order to really crush it when the market's down or to survive it or whatever. What you have to do is you have to develop the skills to be able to create deals out of thin air, regardless of what's happening in the market. And when you depend on a third party to give you leads like a Zillow or your brokerage or a team leader or something, or even social media and Zillow, you're kind of susceptible to whatever the market gives you, right? Versus if you can actually say, okay, I want to sell these properties, right? I want to sell properties in this subdivision, and you have the ability to reach out to these property owners and communicate with them in a way where you figure out what it is they want to do so you can help them do it. Then you can create business regardless of what the market's doing, because again, closings happen every single day, regardless of market conditions. So deals are always happening, right? And nothing stops you. Like the entire goal of any lead gen is conversation with a prospect. So if it's an open house, if it's social media, if it's Zillow, if it's cold calling, door knocking, whatever it is,
Yep.
all those things come right back to a conversation with a prospect.
Yep.
So the thing is like you gotta have a conversation anyway. That's the gatekeeper of all closings. So my thing is like I'm huge on social media, right? I believe in social media. I just think for agents and even investors that aren't trying to be investor coaches in the game, it's a contact sport, right?
Yeah.
It's not like e-commerce where you can sell a sneaker or a computer faceless. You're just selling a product, right?
Yeah.
They just click and buy.
Yeah.
No, it's a completely different ball game. There has to be the conversation. I think agents are trying to turn the industry into like an e-commerce where they don't have to necessarily talk to anyone, or they want to make sure that whoever they talk to like already knows who they are and everything's like all on the up and up and all warm and fuzzy and stuff. And it's just like there's not a scenario where that exists. There's scenarios where that exists at higher levels than others.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you still got to talk to the people. So when you can develop the skill to actually get someone to feel comfortable enough with you to tell you what it is that they are looking to do, what their future real estate plans are. It doesn't matter if they want to do something today, tomorrow, next year, 10 years, whatever it is. If you can get them to tell you whatever that plan is, then it's game over. Because if you can do that over and over and over and over again.
Sounds like that skill is building relationships is what you're trying to say.
To an extent, yeah.
What's that skill? So I like where you put that. Like your control. You're the one pushing the buttons. If you would unpack that, what is a series of skills? Is it one skill? What skill or skills would that be?
I think most agents are scared. Like it's crazy because the entire your entire career is predicated on you as an agent talking to people that you do and don't know to help them buy and sell real estate. Right? Talking to people you do and don't know to help them buy and sell real estate. It's the exact thing that nobody wants to do. Nobody wants to talk to anyone. Right? So like it's your job. That is what your entire career is predicated on. So the only thing between these agents and their goals, let's say they want to make $1 million a year. Okay. The only thing between them and that goal are thousands of one-on-one conversations with people in their market. That's the only thing between them and their goals. And so if they realize that and they take a step back and they're like, okay, well, if that's the game and I'm going to be the best, then I'm going to go ahead and blow through these thousands of conversations as quickly as possible. Maybe it takes me 3 to 5 years, but I'm going to get them thousands in within the next 3 to 5 years. I'm not going to stretch it out over the next 20 or 30 or 40 or never even get there because I'm trying to avoid the conversations. I'm going to go ahead and knock them out right now. I don't care what I got to go through. I'm going to knock them out as quickly as possible. And so like you've got to realize all of these things, right? So when you say is like a skill set, like a bunch of different skills put together, it kind of is. Like you got to understand this, and you got to have that grit about you that you just don't care. You're just going to do whatever you have to do to reach your goals as quickly as possible. Because here's the thing, I travel and speak all over the country a couple times a month, and I was just in Vegas, and it was a 500 agent event, great event, and halfway through my speech, I said, well, let me ask you guys this. How many of you, by show of hands, want to be a real estate agent forever, for the rest of your life?
But not one hand went up.
Not a single hand.
Yeah.
And I said, so let me get this straight, right? You guys are all real estate agents. You took off work and spent money to come here to learn how to do something that you literally do not want to do. Right?
What a great question.
And so that's the thing. It's like, well, wait a minute. If this isn't what you want to do forever, then why are you prolonging being something that you don't want to be? Why not go ahead and knock out these thousands of conversations now as quickly as possible so you can get to the $1 million a year, so you can move on to what you actually want to do with your life, because life is so short, right? We're not promised tomorrow ever.
Yeah.
Why are we prolonging the inevitable of what you really actually want to do with your life? So I'm trying to open their minds up about this, and the fact that they're just, and so the reason my business grew 1 million times faster, I would say 52 times faster, because I was doing in a week what most agents do in a year.
Yeah, you're just compressing time frames. Yeah.
Yes, and so the way I figured it was that agents were getting like 50 leads a month through their Zillows and their Instagrams and their all the whatevers, right? Getting about 50 leads a month. So getting about 600 leads a year, right? Well, I'm blowing through 600 phone calls a week, right? I'm doing like 100 plus phone calls a day, 5 days a week. I'm calling 500 people a week. So I was doing in a week what most agents do in a year. So my business grew 52 times faster because I'm trying to get to the million so that I can move on to bigger and better things that I actually want to do with my life.
Success loves speed. I'm just curious, in the years, the ups and downs, the 20 plus years you've been inside the insurance industry, I'm just curious. Everybody's always got their favorite deal. What's probably one of the most creative or unconventional strategy you've ever used, whether to close a deal, to get in front of somebody, if you can think back in your database of experiences?
I don't know. My favorite deal was my biggest deal, and it took about 10 years to do. When we negotiated it, literally we negotiated it for a year and a half, and then we closed on half of it then, and then a year later we closed the other half. It was wild, and there was 10 owners, and it was actually a condo complex that blew away in Hurricane Ivan back in 2004. Hurricane Ivan blew this old complex away. There were 10 owners. And it was right across the line in Florida. I'm in Alabama, right on the beach, but I'm right on the Florida line. So I have my Florida license, and I do a lot of deals over there. And this was literally like 3 properties into Florida on the beach. And one of the owners reached out to me like 10 years earlier, and we like talked, and he was telling me about it. And it was years and years later of me staying in contact and stuff before we listed the property. And we had to get all 10 owners on board. Right, dude, I'm telling you, this was a wild ride, man. Like this was a wild ride. There were lawyers and all kinds of characters, man. This was a crazy deal. And then we had it on the market for a while, and then we got a couple offers, whatever, dude. And then we got the offer, and we negotiated it for literally a year and a half, right? And then we got it under contract, and we closed on the beach side, which was like it was $2 million on the beach side and $1 million on the other side. It was a $3 million deal. And I got both sides. But yeah, just like there's been so many deals that people are like, how did you put that together? And the way that I put deals together is I never let them die, right? I keep them going, even if there's much there. If there's something there, I'm still going. Now, if it dies out and everybody goes separate ways, then I'll walk away from it. But if there's something there, I just never would let deals die. And like,
what's an example of that, Ricky? What's an example of that?
When I say people are like, how did you put these deals together? I'm talking about deals that were like so far apart. Like the buyer was way over here, and the seller was way over here on price, right? Like the offer was so low. And like a lot of agents, they won't even write those deals. They won't even make those offers. Like let's just say, for example, something like they're asking $450, and the buyer wants to offer like $320 or something, right? Well, like most agents just wouldn't write that. They wouldn't put that in writing.
Yeah, they wouldn't write the contract.
But I will.
Yeah,
like I will all day long. I'm not going to call the agent and say, hey, would your seller entertain $320? Right? Never going to do that.
So you put it on paper.
And the reason being is because the reason being is because a seller responds differently to an imaginary offer than they do to a real offer. Right? When money is actually on the table. Yeah, when money is actually on the table, okay, and there's actually, real cash that's sitting there, and then they react totally different, right? Because it's like, okay, here's money, here's a date I'm going to get the money, here are the terms of the contract, because it's more than just price, right? It's like, is it cash financing? Are we getting an inspection? Do you have to sell another property? What are all the terms in the contract? I need to see all of it before I can respond. These agents that call other agents like, hey, my guy might offer this, like, when agents call me with that, I'm like, great, put it on paper and send it to me. I'm happy to see what my guy will do.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like now we've got the commission thing now, and a lot of agents are calling other agents asking what the buyer agent commission is. Right.
You talk about the reaction to the NAR lawsuit.
Yeah. Yeah, because like some of the sellers aren't offering the buyer agent commission. They will pay it, but they're kind of waiting to see what that buyer, what they're going to, because like the buyers are putting it in the contract now. That's the whole thing. Like that's the big difference is the buyers and the buyer agents, they're putting it as part of the offer, what they want the seller to contribute towards the buyer's closing costs, which they
Yeah.
can use for whatever,
So
or the
they're
buyer agent
disclosing it.
commissions. Yeah. And it's just like, is your seller, offering, whatever? I'm like, yeah, he'll pay some, like look, they put it in the offer. We'll see what, how much. I'm like, well, I don't know. Yeah, it's like I'm not going to negotiate against myself here. Okay? We have a property on the market. Like now it's your move. Like send me what you'll pay for it and what the terms are going to be, and we'll see what we can put together. So anyway, yeah, I've put together just the wildest deals that most people would have just forgotten about, and there were a lot of them that like literally negotiated for months and months and months.
He just kept instigating. You said something there that you're not going to negotiate against yourself. Can you explain what that? I get it. Can you explain what that means to our viewers out there and how you found you were making that mistake, so therefore you weren't going to do that again yourself?
Yeah, well, here's the thing, man. Like your clients, what they tell you and what they're going to do are two different things. So you may have a buyer that says, "I'm only going to pay 500 for this." Next thing you know, we're under contract for 540. You have a seller that says, "I'm not taking anything less than $1 million for this." Next thing you know, we're under contract for 920, 850, 875, right? Happens all the time. And so what agents do is they assume that their client's telling them the truth. And after you gain some experience, you realize, no, that's like, and when they tell you that in the back of your head, you're saying, okay, I hear what they're saying, but I know how this is going to play out, right? You know that they're going to budge a little bit. And sometimes they don't, right? Sometimes they don't. And that's fine if they don't. It doesn't matter. You're still going to do what you can do, everything you can do to get the deal put together, right? But negotiating against myself is like, we've already put the price, what we want out there. Okay, now it's your turn, right? It's your move to make the offer to tell us what you'll pay for the property. I'm not fixing to start negotiating terms. We already have the terms out there, right? We will pay some concessions that you can use towards closing costs or commissions or whatever, and this is the price we're asking. So we've already put that out there. Now, I'm not going to put a number on what kind of concessions we're gonna take care of. That's on you to put that in the offer at this point. Quit badgering me about this. Write it up so that I can get a deal done. Right? Happy to get a deal done. So yeah, like it's almost like they make an offer. We give them a counter offer, and then they call us, with some question about, well, will you do this or that? Don't know. Because and here's the thing. I might think I know as the agent what my seller is going to do, but I really don't. I can't answer that question. Like if they want, okay, well, we want to do like 2,000 a here, or what if we just like knock down the due diligence days or something like that? Like, I don't know. I'm gonna have to talk to my seller, but I need to get that in writing. And I need to get that in writing before I can go back to them. Because I need to know that your client actually wants to do this. Because they're, again, like, this is just an agent telling me what their client might do. Like, it's imaginary.
Ricky, can we look back at your screen again? This is a chart here about median cost of a home by state since 2000. It's all the way to 20.
When it says cost, is it talking about like mortgage payments, or is it talking about
actual value of the
taxes or
house,
prices? What is this?
Yeah, price of the house.
Okay, prices.
Median, right? Not average, but median.
Yeah.
And you've seen this just kind of just go up and up and up and up and up. What's your opinion about what's going on, if I may? What's your opinion about what's going to go on with the market, the real estate market? We got a new president in, interest rates are dropping. What, in your opinion, what do you think is going to happen to the real estate market in the next 3, 4, 5, 7 years?
Well, over the next 3 to 4 to 5, 7 years, we're going to get back to a normal year, which is 5 million existing home sales. Not going to happen next year. I think we'll have a nice pop, though. I think we'll get back in the 4.4 mil existing home sales, 5 million total existing and new construction sales. Which will be great, right? Because if you got used to this year, you're really going to love next year. And that's the great thing about market swings and cycles and crashes like this, is you kind of get used to what this down market is, and you kind of adjust your business to it. And then when the market re-expands, your business multiplies. So that's what's really great about it from a real estate agent's perspective. But in terms of prices, I think we're going to see them holding pretty firm.
Really?
You
Wow.
know, as we see more transactions, we're still low inventory. So like in the 200 largest markets, last year, 17 of those markets were back over pre-pandemic inventory levels, 17 out of the 200. Now we're at 54 out of the 200. So we're creeping back. We're not as a country back to pre-pandemic inventories in terms of homes for sale as a country, but 54 out of the 200 markets are back to over pre-pandemic. So we are creeping back, and it depends on what market you're in, that where you are inventory wise. So we are seeing markets get back to those pre-pandemic levels, which is a good thing, because when we have this suppression of buyers that we have now, as we move into this higher transaction market, we're going to have inventory for those buyers, which will kind of help home prices stay a little firm instead of shooting up to the moon like they did back in 2021. We will see a little increase, though, in my opinion, definitely next year. It's hard to predict things several years out, but if I had to, I would just say we're going to stand pretty solid as far as prices go, just because of the inventory and the pent up demand. We've got trade up sellers. I mean, this is really historic. This is unprecedented. The way that the interest rates were around 2%, everybody that refinanced, everybody that's locked in their homes now, and here we are. What now? We're 4 years after that, 3-4 years after that, and literally like people are in homes that they are too small for them now because their families have grown. They don't like it anymore. They're just ready for a move because they're used, people move every so often. And so you've got this group of people that are in these homes and it's not their dream home, right? Like
A fat amount of equity that's potentially sitting in the properties. Would you
they
say?
have a lot of equity, and that's great and everything. But the problem is, if they sell that home, they're selling out of that low mortgage rate, and now they're going to have a much higher mortgage rate, and buy a house equally to the same price of what they just sold. They can make it work because they can take that equity and use it all for the down payment and get the payment down, right? So there's some things that could work, but as a whole, there's so much pent up demand there. Plus, if you look at birth rates back in the 90s, how they shot up. It's the biggest since the baby boomers. And so we have record amounts of 30-something-year-olds right now. And the median age of a first-time home buyer is 36 to 38 last year, which is higher than it was years prior. Why is that? Well, you got to be a little older and have a little more money to buy a home. And so it's crazy that the first-time home buying age is getting into the higher 30s. The upper 30s. It's crazy, right? To think first-time home buyers, but that's kind of where we are. But people are hanging on their homes longer too. And I think it has a lot to do with this golden handcuff scenario. So like we're in this place where there's so much pent up demand. There's so little inventory because let's face it, even pre-pandemic inventory was low, right? That wasn't like where you really wanted to be. We had a little over 1 million, active listings. That's not really like great for a country with 350 million people. So it's not really, it doesn't look like it's going to be an environment where prices go down anytime soon. There's a lot of talk about the getting close to 2 trillion in credit card debt and all these different variables that's happening and people running out of money and the cost of living. And so we're going to Disney this week. Dude, tickets for Disney for my daughter is $170, and for us it was like $195. Like
crazy.
We went when did we go last? Not even a year ago, and we went, and it was like 120 or so. Like I couldn't believe how much they've went up in like 6 to 8 months on their tickets.
And that's not the fast pass.
Right. And so like, that's just a regular ticket. And when you look at prices of eggs and groceries and all the, inflationary things that have happened, you have to sit back and say, okay, something's got to give. The Oracle of Wall Street, her name is Michelle Whitney. I believe her name is Michelle Whitney. She's predicting that home prices got to come down 20% to accommodate for the affordability issue that we're having. But she doesn't really talk about how that happens, how, like I agree, that'd be awesome if prices went down 20%. That way everybody can afford a house. But how, in fact, what's the path to that? And I just don't really see a path to where home prices come down. But I'll end that with saying, if and when home prices come down, great.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everything's on sale. Like
For sure.
it's time to buy. I mean, like, come on, who wants a house? You get a house. You get a house. You get a house. You know.
And do
So
you think that will that just be a short wave? Do you think if it might be
if it does,
yeah,
if it does,
yeah,
like if it were to go down somehow, some way,
yeah,
but you got to realize though, we're talking about that from the mindset of the market that we're in now, where home prices have held firm. If we do enter into a market where home prices come down, that means that there is a real suppression of buyers. And whatever that suppression is, whatever the reason of that suppression is not going to be somewhat temporary. It might be kind of temporary, but like
yeah,
that could be something that, that lasts several months, maybe up to a year, if in fact we got into something like that. Because like if you have inventory levels where you are now, with the pent up demand that you have now,
yeah,
and we get into a place where prices come down,
yeah.
it's just like, what happened?
Sure.
Where's the data that shows that that's even a possibility at this point? But I will say that's when markets crash, is when you least expect it.
Yep.
The cool thing is like, it doesn't matter to me either way. I can help agents crush it during market crashes. If you're an investor, you buy things when prices go down.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cool thing. People want to trash. There's some people that want to trash on guys like me or whatever. But the thing, or say like, oh, you just want the market to keep going up because you
Yep.
own all these properties and stuff. And it's like, I literally win either way it goes. And it's not
Yeah.
because I own a bunch of properties. It's because I understand how this business works. I understand how the cycles work, and I know how to take advantage of them.
Ricky, since the last 2-3 years, me being in the insurance industry and working side by side with PBD, we've been able to see a lot of influx from mortgage professionals, real estate professionals, potentially even adding on an insurance license. I mean, you got a lot of businesses. You've got your coaching, your real estate. Have you started your mortgage company yet?
No, I dabbled in it. I tried to
Got
go
it.
that route for a second, but it's like a whole different
It's like
animal.
highly regulated, right?
Regulation.
It's crazy.
Holy smokes, dude! Like real estate agents have no idea. Real estate agents are like the wild, wild west compared to mortgage,
Yeah.
man. It's something.
Do you think there's a correlation of a vertical or maybe or a horizontal of insurance? Because we've seen them come on our end. A lot of them have real estate license, mortgage license, and they've added on an insurance license. Do you think it's of any value? Completely being totally objective of that answer. You can go one way or another. I wouldn't care. But do you think it makes
it just
sense for
depends on
them
the
to
person.
potentially obtain insurance license, talk about mortgage protection insurance, retirement plan, et cetera, with other real estate owners and investors?
I think it depends on the person. Like for me, like personally, I've got to have one thing that I'm really like. I just focused on being an agent, right? I've
Yeah.
focused on being an agent. My goal is to make $1 million a year, and I just focused on that goal until I hit that goal. Did I buy a few things along the way and invest in a couple properties? Yes, but I didn't go like all out buying stuff until later. Right. Then I went crazy buying a bunch of stuff and making a bunch of investments. But that wasn't until that was the next phase though.
Yeah.
Right. And then when I got into coaching, that was long after I had crushed being a real estate agent. I used to start coaching agents,
Yeah.
midway through, or, it wasn't until I made the $1 million a year that I actually started trying to teach agents how to make $1 million a year. And so for me personally, I couldn't do two things at once.
Makes sense.
Because I'm trying to really crush this thing.
Yeah.
And I think with like insurance, it's kind of the same thing. If you're going to talk about insurance, like if I'm going to be an insurance guy, like I want to be the insurance guy. I don't want to confuse people with, hey, you can buy a house from me, you can buy insurance from me, you can do a mortgage from me, you can do this, I'll wash your car, I'll walk your dog. Yeah, I don't want to do all these things. I want to be like the guy that you come to for this. That's just me though, right? Like I said, it depends on the person. Some of these guys out there, I see them and they're like selling a couple of different things and they're doing
exactly.
well, they're doing well.
Yeah.
And, so everybody's different.
Ricky, what's you're not only an agent, but you've had a lot of successful businesses. What's one business decision that may have seemed crazy at the time that you made that business decision, but actually panned out in your favor? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, for sure. So when I started coaching agents, I wrote a couple books. I started speaking and doing social media and stuff. And I tried a couple different business models within a couple months, just testing things out. And what I realized was the the best model for me moving forward at that point was to just open up and just be completely free. So like I had a course and I was charging whatever, for the course, and I was charging monthly fees and doing all this stuff. I had 200 paying members. I had like 10 or 15,000 a month coming in, and I had a call with those 200 members. I was like, "Hey, I'm about to start. I'm gonna like cut off your payments, and I'm gonna start teaching everything I've been teaching you guys for free. And not only that, I'm gonna do it better." And so like I went free. So here I am. I'm the number one agent in my entire county, number one Remax agent in my state for several years. And I literally create a course and just say, "Hey, go to this site and just put your email in, and like you get access to my entire blueprint for free, a full course, scripts, the whole 9 yards." I was doing coaching calls, like Zoom calls and YouTubes and et cetera, et cetera. So I became the world's first completely free real estate coach, and I did that for 7 years, for free, just putting out content and building the brand and everything, right? And then so that was like the craziest, because everybody's mad at me.
Why were they mad?
Some of the agents
Were they jealous?
They weren't jealous. They just didn't understand it. And so they thought, they were like, "Why are you giving this away for free?" Right. They like a couple things. They thought I was going to lose business, right? They thought I was going to lose my business. They thought a lot of different things. They were just mad. They just thought it was a really bad move. But I saw the big picture. I was like, no, I'm going to build a huge following, and I'll be able to build all kinds of businesses on the back end of that. Not only that, I made a ton with affiliate marketing during that time, being the free coach. So I did that for 7 years, and then I started selling high ticket for a while, which was really amazing, and it was fun, and I had to do it to try it and see. So I did it free. I did it through affiliates. I did it through a brokerage. I did low ticket. I did high ticket. And so now I've done it every which way. I made millions with each avenue. And so now I take a step back. Now that I have all the data, I'm like, okay, which way best fits me? Which business model best fits my lifestyle, what I want to do, how much money I want to make, etc., the impact I can make on the industry. And believe it or not, it's free. So I'm literally going back to the free model. I'm redeveloping the whole site and everything to go back to that free model. That was when I was really crushing it. That was when I was really growing the most. That was when I had more opportunities, etc. So
hey, there's a mantra that says life gives to the givers, takes from the takers, and has a very accurate accounting system. So great that you did that. One last question for you. A lot of guys that watch our channel, listen to our podcast, are guys that are also building sales teams. What's one bit of advice you would give to those that's recruiting, training, developing a sales organization, a brokerage, people for your company? What bit of advice would you give somebody that may not be used to a sales leadership standpoint because they're used to their own transactions, their own client relationship, but now they got to transfer and teach other people how to do it?
It's really tough. Really tough. It's a completely different role. If you're in sales and now you're in a leadership role, or people are looking up to you for advice and so forth, it's a completely different role. So I think I'd be really careful with stepping into that role too early, and kind of understand what you're getting into, because like a lot of agents, for example, they want to go start a real estate team, right? They'll have some success, and they're like, okay, the next progression is to build a team. Well, what they don't realize is, and the whole point of the team is to create like passive deals and passive income and have agents to send deals to or whatever. And it's like, they don't realize that being a team leader is a full-time job. So now they have a full-time job being an agent. So now they're just stacking on a second full-time job being a team leader. Now they have 2 full-time jobs, and now the team leader job takes kind of over because you're trying to get it off the ground, and you take away from your sales job, that was crushing it. Now it's not, because you're spending all your time being a team leader. And then you bring in these agents who, let's face it, you got to go through a lot of agents to find a good one. And so all these agents come and go and suck all the energy out of you. You just got to really, I think people jump into that role too early. I think you need to read a lot. I'll say that. You need to read a lot of books, right? And really understand a lot of things and have a lot of experience.
Any book recommendations you'll give, Ricky?
I will, but I wanted to say, through my life, I have let things happen organically. like right now I've got so much equity in a bunch of different properties. Most people would say refi out and double your number of units. And I'm like, yeah, I could, but I don't feel like it. I like having a lot of equity, right? I just don't force things. That was kind of like, I didn't hire an assistant from a real estate business until I had 30 active listings, right? That's kind of too long to wait to get your assistant, but I kind of let it happen. When I got my real estate license, it was because I failed a history class. I didn't quite know what I was going to do, so I just kind of like, it was organic, right? My wife, we were best friends for 5 years before we started dating and became a couple. It was like, I didn't say I'm going to marry her. It was just like, we're just friends. We're not even going to date. But then it just happened organically, right? And so I like to let things happen instead of trying to force things to happen. I do my part and work really hard to do the things that I need to do with my vision of where I want to be, but I try not to force it. So I think a lot of people are trying to force themselves into these situations and those situations. It's like, yeah, you could do that, but do it at the right, but force yourself into them at the right time. And I think people are going too early. Book recommendations. My gosh, man, like what you want. I'll tell you, my favorite book of all time is The Slight Edge. Have you ever read that?
Yeah, yeah.
That's my favorite of all time. Me and Jeff actually became great friends because I recommended it a bunch. And then he messaged me on Twitter and then we did some podcasts. Great guy. My second favorite is 10X is Easier Than 2X. You read that one yet?
I have not.
Oh my gosh, Benjamin Hardy. 10X is easier than
Benjamin
10X
Hardy.
is
Okay.
easier.
Oh, I'm thinking Jeff Hardy. Benjamin Hardy. Interesting. Okay.
Benjamin Hardy, yeah, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. 10X is easier than 2X. I'm telling you, man, that is the game changer of the century right there.
Gotcha. So you back to compressing timeframes is what you're getting at. Yeah. Get back to compressing timeframes.
Exactly. Because
and
yes,
then
it is.
And improving,
it is. But
improving a little bit every time.
yes, that's exactly what the book's about. Because like a 2X mindset, like, okay, you want to double up? Well, you don't have to do much different than what you're doing now. Just kind of do it a little harder. But if you want a 10X, okay, now you basically got to quit doing everything you're doing now and do stuff complete. You have to do completely different things. Your actions look completely different to 10X. So it puts you into this different mindset where there's these different pathways, right? So it's kind of like, okay, I want to make $3 million a year in 10 years. Okay, great. Well, what would you do different? What would you do differently today, right now, this week, this month, this year? What would you do differently if you wanted to hit that $3 million a year within 3 years? So then you start to think, okay, yeah, this doesn't serve me anymore. This doesn't serve me anymore. I need to do more, and you start to think differently about what the pathway looks like. Great book.
Yeah, there's a lot of distractions a lot of people come across, and I'm glad that you've shown an example of not letting those distractions derail you from your big vision. So, Ricky, you've been very generous with your time. I appreciate it. I appreciate working through our issues with technology before we even turn the camera. But one last thing, is there any specific website or book you would like to have our viewers and listeners of our podcast go to?
Hey, just follow me on Instagram at Ricky Carruth. I answer all my DMs. Anything I do to help anybody, try to put out good content, and you can find all my stuff there. I do daily agent devotionals. I've got ZeroToDiamond.com for agents. That's the coaching program and stuff. So anything I could do to help you guys, I'm here.
Ricky, you got to do an ooh-wee for me, man. You got to do an ooh-wee. Come on. I got to get an ooh-wee from you.
Woo!
I love it. Appreciate you, dog. All right, man. That being said, man,
thanks
for being here, man. Appreciate you.
Hey, my pleasure, man.
All right, Ricky. Take care, man. Best of luck to your career, man. Hope we cross paths one day. What was your biggest takeaway? I love our conversation with Ricky Carruth. Listen, if you are in sales or building a sales leadership team, you got to pick your lane. Be clear. Patrick Bet-David's book, Your Next 5 Moves, is a book recommendation for me. You got to pick that first move, which is clarity. Absolutely clear about what you want, whether you want to be in sales or sales leadership. For me, I did sales for 12 years, and I went into sales leadership in my 13th, 14th year. We have people today that we're coaching go right into sales leadership from day one. Whatever it is, go all in. And I love what he said about compressing timeframes. Sometimes people kind of lollygag to their next goals. If you just compress timeframes, do what others would not do in 1 year, but compress that here in the next 3 months, 4 months, 2 months. Compress that and watch where your goals take you. You'd be surprised what the next best version of you will look like. You agree with us? You don't agree with us? Please, we want to know. Please put it in the comment section below and make sure you subscribe here to the 7 Fear Squad YouTube channel. That being said, till next episode. Till we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be mighty smart today.
Maybe if you got a couple of your sales leaders, maybe have them talk with Matt Sapaula on Minnect to learn how to do those things.